Hello, good afternoon. How are you doing? Welcome along. Good morning to you in the States. If you are just waking up, welcome to Monday, the 28th of October. This is going to be our non-farm payrolls week, and it is a pretty good week at FTUK because we are talking fundamentals all week long. Hopefully it's going to be a great week in the markets. It certainly will be busy with the US elections coming up next week. And as it starts from Monday in Europe, there have only really been two stories that you need to have taken notice of, and that is the situation in crude oil. A really massive gap down overnight. I'm sure you're just seeing that as you are waking up and coming to your trading screens. And also the snap elections in Japan did not go to plan. So the volatility around the Japanese yen is slightly heightened, but that's basically it. So there's a little bit of extra news that we can catch up on in terms of the situation in the Middle East. We'll go through that, and then also what I'd like to do as well is just touch on gold with the election coming around the corner, and then also the S&P 500 with the US markets about to open. It's 1 o'clock here in the United Kingdom, but my clock is all over the place because the clocks went back here an hour overnight, which was really unhelpful. You're so used to when the US markets open. So that should probably give us about half an hour before the stock markets are going to open in the US. Let's jump in and let's have a look at what has been happening overnight. The two stories, as I mentioned, it's all about crude oil in the Middle East and also about Japan as well. Some more information from the Iranian Foreign Ministry saying that their response to Israel will correspond to the attack, and they will use all available tools to respond. We showed restraint at various times for the greater good, stopping Israel in Gaza, and Lebanon could end instability. That equaled a 5% gap with the fact that the Israelis missed the key nuclear and sort of the crude oil targets in Iran over the weekend. That equaled a 5% gap in crude this morning. And let's just have a quick look at crude just to see where we're up to, because in fact it's pushing at session lows right now. I think that's just tuned into just over 6.6% on crude oil. Let me just go down to a 1 hour. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, taking another leg lower now. So from Friday's high, we're opening up just under 7%. That's a big move down in crude oil. Now, any much further than that, and where we're really going to be gunning for the September lows here around about 64, 65, 23. Highly possible on a move like that as well. Definitely highly possible. This is the CFDs that you can see here, but obviously no doubt the futures in Brent and also WTI reflecting that. But bear in mind that these things, they can get reversed in very short order. And one of the things that has changed, if you just look at this from Twitter that I've pulled off the news wires, hang on 1 second. Still getting used to all of these buttons there. You can see this on Twitter as well in the last few hours. Talks in Qatar between the head of Mossad and the head of the CIA, and the Prime Minister of Qatar will continue today as well. According to a source familiar with the details, there are currently two types of offer on the table. The short-term Egyptian offer, and there's also an American-Qatari deal being sort of like negotiated, and that could basically change the course of the situation in the Middle East. It is possible that in the end the outline that will be tested will be somewhere in the middle. Now, as a trader, this is what this week is all about. It's about trying to help people understand that the world events, the stuff that's happening all around you on the geopolitical stage, the market does listen to it, and the market does process that information. There's no question that the situation in the Middle East over the weekend has led to crude oil, pushing to the downside the way that it has. And that means that if we get something that moves in the opposite direction, or an escalation, or some sort of like higher form of retaliation, that could then reverse course as part of that. So you've got to pay attention. So If you are signing up to FTUK over the course of the week, you will get access to Newsquawk's audio squawk feed. And what you'd be doing is you'd be listening. You'd be listening as those guys at Newsquawk say anything at all to do with any deals, the Egyptian offer or an American Qatari deal being sort of like negotiated, anything like that. That, if you're connecting that with price action, that can turn things around. It can accelerate the situation. And then you can understand how the market is connecting with the fundamentals. I cannot emphasize how important that really is. It really is super important. So that is what we'll be looking for in the crude oil market. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about Japan. Some extra bits of information as well. This is from the news agency Kyodo. The Japanese government and ruling bloc are arranging to convene a special parliament session to vote on a PM on the 11th of November. Now, does that mean then also they're going to get rid of the new guy that they just got? I don't know, maybe. But the fact that the Ishiba has sort of created so much instability, they're not going to like that in Japan, particularly with the status of the Japanese yen being a safe haven currency. You don't want that kind of volatility. So a choppy session, I think, on the Japanese yen so far. That's basically a snap election that was called, and it did not work. It did not go the way that Ishiba wanted. The LDP got a very difficult verdict from voters. Need to go ahead with various measures, including compiling extra budget and economic stimulus packages, not thinking specifically about a new coalition at this very moment, and that lost the lower house majority. And that is a less hawkish Bank of Japan. That is what that means. Let's move over to the price action and have a look at how the Japanese yen has done. Well, it's pushing to the downside. It gapped up quite a lot against the dollar overnight in the session, but it's this key area of support. You can see it on my daily time frame here. This area here is huge area of support that we gained quite successfully at the end of last week. 151 all the way down to 150. So as long as we're holding that, and we are now well above our 200-day moving average, which of course is a professional benchmark on the daily time frame. Anyway, at least it always has been on every single market. You can see that we just retested that into Friday. And we've held it quite nicely. So the fact that we've gapped up so much and there's so much dollar yen weakness there as well, I think that gives us a nice range to work with over the next week into non-farm payrolls and then into the election for next week. I'd be looking for that to hold. Basically, the whole impetus for the election is there's a lot of dollar strength around. That is the market looking for a Trump victory, which is dollar positive. It should be stocks down, but we'll just park that and we'll come back to that later. But that weakness in Treasury market supporting that dollar strength, and that dollar strength basically pushing to the upside. You can see it very strongly here in dollar yen. This chart moving in this direction means that the dollar is getting stronger and the Japanese yen is getting weaker. That's how it works. That's how you can see it there. So just go to it down to an intraday time frame and we'll just check on the pattern. I mean, this is pretty common. I mean, really, this just ends up being pullback territory, and as the US markets open up, you'll get a lot of people that want to maybe step in and then wanting to sort of trade that, and you get some movement in out of the Japanese yen into the US dollar. We've basically filled the gap. It looks like we've pretty much filled it. You know, a bit of volatility on the open. I don't know. That could give us a nice place to get involved in the Japanese yen. But we'll see. We'll see how things go over the course of the session and then into tomorrow. And there's some Japanese data coming over the next few days as well. So yeah, definitely for me, the key markets for today, as I'm sure everyone has already seen, will be the Japanese yen and also the crude oil market as well. Let's just have a look at the I wanted to just touch on gold, because I want to start to think about what a Trump victory may look like if you were to get that, and obviously if you didn't get that, what a Kamala Harris victory would look like. At the moment, the gold market here is pushing that inflationary hedge quality of a Trump victory. So what we're basically saying, the market is viewing Trump as being positive for inflation. That flies in the face of the path that we've been on from the Federal Reserve. So we're getting a bit of sort of like a crossing over of tides at the moment. That friction could create some volatility. And I think when it comes to the gold market, you can see that on my chart, it's very, very simple. There's not much on there. First thing to note with gold, I think at the moment, if you look at the daily time frame here, always start with that bigger picture. Yeah, you can see on the daily, the last time we touched the 200-day simple moving average was back in November 2023. So it's been a long time. A long time since we've been back there. And look at the retrace of that was. That would be all the way down to 2,355 if you were to get some kind of a retrace back down to test the average. It's definitely long overdue, but the question is, are we going to get it? I think it's a little bit early to tell at the moment, and obviously we'll know more after the US election, but this is the area that I've got my eye on. This bit here from the 24th of September, this is where the commercial hedgers, the smartest people in the room, this is where they've found the extreme point of their positioning. And that usually means that there's a turning point not far away. Well, that could mean a Trump victory with a bit of dollar strength. But nevertheless, with the inflationary component of a Trump victory, you're looking to gold to fight against that. So there's a bit of profit taking up on Friday on the CME, on the futures, on this day here, on Wednesday it was, Wednesday the 23rd there. And you can obviously indicate it by the bearishness of that candle. So if anything for me on gold at the moment, it's a slightly sideways move. But if we do get a Trump victory, it doesn't necessarily mean gold up or dollar up from that point. I think because this is the market that would be a little bit too compressed in my book. So therefore, it's definitely going to be more of a sideways action for me at the moment, I would have said. So yeah, I've got my eye on gold over the course of the week as well. Obviously, non-farms will give us some volatility around that. But this bit here is always have a line in the sand. And this bit here is my line in the sand, 2,663. That is the area that I'd want to hold if you're looking for higher gold prices from here. So it's not just a done deal. I don't think that the gold market is going to keep going and going and going. There is some new money coming in on this move, but from a commercial hedging point of view, we're already at extremes. And that is an important point to note. Let's have a quick look at the S&P 500 as well. I know that in fact, let's look at the Dow first, because I know that the Dow, if you look at the Dow on a weekly, it actually ended low, the first time on a low close on a weekly candle for the last 3 weeks. That's significant, you know. For me, the stock market is a little, I think we'll get volatility around the election, around the stock market, as you would imagine. But I don't think the market is focusing on it as much, because despite the fact that we may have a hawkish Trump victory, that will be a stocks down. Just from a positioning point of view, these guys, they keep just buying the dip. So, you know, you're going to take some major pushing to the downside to really make this market start to fall apart. I personally can't see it. I think that there's a lot of extra money. I've got these blocks here that you can see in front of you. These are just areas where people are feeding money in on the CME, and these are just huge amounts of weight going in these areas. So if anything, it just breaks these areas down as areas of support. You know, you've got to lose this pivotal swing low here around this area, sort of around about the 5,672. And unless we're going to actually do that in a meaningful, sustained way, I can't. I think it's still going to be in a scoop the dip type of territory on the stock market. So that's going to be interesting to see how that moves into non-farm payrolls on Friday. And bear in mind as well, again, similar to gold, that's a market that's not been back to its 200-day moving average in a long time. Again, November 2023, way back down here when prices were at 4,250. Wow, that does feel like a long time ago. So yeah, well overdue a correction, but we'll see how things go from here. Right, okay. Let's just finish things up and let's have a look at the key things for the session today. It's a light data session. There's not a huge amount on the menu. You're going to get employment data out of Japan a little bit later on, and that is going to be very, very important given the sensitivity at the end at the moment with what's happened. Bookmark that day when the politicians are voting, the 11th of November. You'll get some sort of a movement around then as well. Just have that in your diary as well. Macklem, I think he's still due to speak at the moment. We're still going to get De Guindos as well in the Euro area, and that Dallas Fed manufacturing, I don't think that has been printed yet, but it's a relatively light day. There's not much else on it, but don't worry, things will be getting busier. It starts to pick up with a little bit more activity in tomorrow's action. We're going to get Germany's GfK consumer confidence data. There's Bank of England confidence data for consumers. Consumer credit information out of the UK tomorrow, as well as mortgage approvals. Macklem will be speaking again. I've not even looked at the Canadian dollar, so there could be some key opportunities opportunities on there depending on what he's got to say for himself. Case and Schiller's home pricing in this indicator that will be printed. That's Robert Schiller out of I think it's Yale University he's at, and also the JOLTS jobs opening that kicks off our jobs data frenzy throughout the course of the week in tomorrow's price action. And then also as well on Wednesday, it's going to be pretty active. Australian CPI, consumer confidence and industrial production in Japan, French GDP, German inflation and GDP data, and then the all-important UK budget. So anyone that's trading the pound between now and Wednesday, make sure you watch tomorrow's live streams because we're going to start looking at the pound in a little bit more detail. You get some GDP data out of the US on Wednesday as well, pending home sales and the ADP employment change. That's important, and Schnabel will be speaking in the Euro area as well. Thursday it's a little bit lighter, but we do have an interest rate decision in Japan. I mean, that's going to be interesting. No one's expecting any hikes from the Bank of Japan, but given what's happened over the course of the weekend, yeah, I would say it's important to just pay attention to that. Inflation data, and then the core PCE price index, that's the Fed's favored measure of inflation, will be on Thursday, and that brings us to non-farm payrolls on Friday. So it's going to be a good week. Now, we have got huge amounts of stuff going on at FTUK throughout the course of the week. It is Fundamentals Week, and we're doing it for a very specific reason. If you're a prop trader, no matter where you are in your evaluation, you can benefit and you can really build a high quality edge for yourself as a trader by slowly starting to get involved in fundamentals. It's not that complicated, and we're starting to put a lot of content out over the course of the week that is going to hopefully demonstrate that. And if you can join in the live streams and just have a look around at what is going on and just pay attention to what's happening on the news wires and on the calendars, and then how the market reacts to it, you'll start to see it. You'll start to see how powerful that stuff is. Now, we've teamed up with Newsquawk. They are a professional institutional audio squawk and economic data provider. They very kindly sponsored the week for us here, and they'll be sponsoring non-farm payrolls as well. And you can get a 14-day trial of their amazing squawk tool. Let me just show you what that looks like here. All you need to do is sign up for an account with FTUK, and you will get one of these. You'll get the login details for one of these. This is their audio squawk feed here. You can see in front of it all of the information that is kicking off at any moment in time. It's all there for you, and you'll be able to get that professional feel. You'll understand it. So when, like I said with the oil story before, something happens in oil, there's a deal, you hear the word, the Egyptian deal, something like that, you're a trader who knows and you understand. And then when the market moves and you're trading oil, you've got it. You're not that guy in the room that's saying, what just happened. That is the worst thing to be. I said that on the live stream on Friday. Fundamentals Week, there it is. That is the page that we've got on the website for it. All of the offers that we've got, they're all highlighted on here, and that's going to take us into non-farm payrolls. Our live coverage is very popular here on FTUK, so make sure you hit the notification bell on the live stream on YouTube so you can join us for non-farm payrolls. It will be earlier, of course, because the clock's going back here in the UK, but that is going to be sponsored by Newsquawk and also by the Trusted Prop as well. And we've just got huge amounts to give away as well. If you head over to our Twitter page, it's all there. You can win a 10k account and a 3-month subscription to Newsquawk. I think that's the best offer we've ever done. And all you need to do is guess the number. Well, I mean, no difficult task that, All you need to do is go to Twitter, follow these instructions in the tweet that you can see here that we've pinned to the top of the FTUK page. Follow that, fill in the form, stick your number in, and that's it. You're in the draw. Do it now. Do it early. Then you are fully in the loop with what's going to with what's going to happen throughout the course of the week, and then by Friday you will have your seat at the table and you will be in with a chance. That's what it's all about. Right, okay. I think that is just about it. There is not much more to mention other than to say that we also have our new trading contests are pretty much ironed out. It might even be in the next few days when registration opens. I'm going to have a meeting about it tomorrow, check all the tech works and everything like that, and then we will be rolling it out. So we've got a lot of people that have already signed up to that page there so that they are first in the queue for when it comes to registration. As soon as registration opens, we will hit you up and we will let you know that it's happening, and we maybe even be able to do that in the live streams as well. It's going to be a good one. We've got thousands and thousands of dollars of cash prizes in in the trading contest, and we're going to be running them every 4 weeks. So it's definitely worth getting involved in. That's everything I've got for now. So thank you very much for watching. Have a good US session, and I will catch you all bright and early for the London Open tomorrow morning.